literally.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I hope everybody's doing good and survived the holidays. And I hope you missed us. It's going to be a busy meeting tonight, lots to talk about. An announcement, upcoming things and whatnot. So I hope you guys will all stick around for the whole meeting. And we're just going to go jump right in. First of all, are there any elected officials tonight that would like to be recognized in the back?
Bob Soutier.
And Bill Esterline.
Bill Esterline, Bob Biondo.
Hello, hello.
These are our Pattonville Fire Board.
Yay, yay!
Others?
Paula Brown, House of Representatives, District 70.
Come on now.
Linda Henry, I would say, St. Louis County Executive Steve Stanger.
Anybody else? All good? Okay. So, welcome. I see some new faces out there. I'm Kira Nickel. This is Don Chapman. We're glad to see you guys tonight. And we're just going to go ahead and go right to it. So, would Bill Esterline or the fire board like to come up and say a few words and kick this meeting off?
I'm sure.
No. Yes, no.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Esterline. I've been around Bridgeton, I don't want to tell you my age, I hate to do it, but a good 55 years. I have been in the political arena and civic services here in Bridgeton for 40 years. I spent 8 years on the city council and 18 and a half years with the fire district. And I gotta tell you, this has been the greatest part of my life, of all the things I've done. So I want to thank, most of all, the Just Moms for everything that they have done for this community. I think that all the time and effort that they put into making this community a better community and a safer community to live in, you have done a wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you. I want you to know that this fire department will always be with you to help you. So thank you all for what you've done. You're very welcome. One of the things that has just taken place recently, and I'm going to say this with a heavy heart, is Matt LaVanchy, who has worked with the Just Moms from the very beginning, has chosen to start a new chapter in his life. And effective tomorrow, Matt has retired from the Pattonville Fire Department. And we're going to miss him. He has put 20 years in with the Pattonville Fire Department, and he has done nothing but brought good things to this department, and we wish him well. We thank him for all the service that he has done, especially with this landfill issue and working with the moms. And with that being said, I want everyone to know that there's not gonna be a skip of a heartbeat. We are gonna continue, this will be a seamless, chapter that he is, leaving. We are very well, I guess what I would say, selective in replacing Matt with someone who is extremely qualified and has been here for 29 years and has served as a battalion chief, and I have observed him at fire scenes, and this gentleman definitely knows the fire business. And he will take over from Matt and continue on with the program of working with Just Moms and making this effort worthwhile for everybody. And that gentleman's name is Jim Usry. Jim, would you please stand? Congratulate Jim. Matt, we're going to miss you, pal. And Robin's sitting next to him, his wife. And she's put up with a lot of hours of him being gone and doing his job, and I wish you all the luck in the world. And finally, I'd like to introduce my other two board members that sit with me. Bob Biondo, who is our secretary.
Hello.
Bob Souter, who is our treasurer. But you have our word that we will continue working with everyone here. And we're going to win this battle.
Yeah,
And we won't stop until we do. So God bless everyone, and thank you for all your support to the Pattonville Fire District. Thank you.
Okay, Matt, could you come up? Robin, you can come up. I don't even know what to say.
We'll miss you, Matt.
We haven't had to do this without Matt, ever. And you guys don't know what goes on behind the scenes with our conversations, the level of comfort and security that we've gotten from Matt. Thank you to the board. Bill Esterline, you've been there, you've all been there for us. I know Matt's been the front and center guy on the landfill issue, but we know it's because the board has been there. Good luck to you. All I can say is that you're very talented, and as much as we hate to see you go, it's time that the rest of the country gets to see how good you are. And we get to share you with others. Thank you for all of the support you've given Dawn and I, for always being there, for allowing him to be gone. Tell your kids we said thank you. It's meant the world to us. We have something for you, and we have cake afterwards.
Oh, if you could open it, it's got a special inscription on it. Well, you get that too.
That's so you don't forget about us. That's so you don't forget about us.
We'll wear that.
But Karen and I thought long and hard about an inscription for you. And now I know why you wanted me to come.
That's right.
The inscription we chose is John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, that they lay down his life for his friends. Sister Jean and the sisters to come and to say a small blessing for you, if that's okay.
This is hard to believe that you're actually heading on to something else, but we can't express enough our respect for you and our gratitude. So we gather, all of us here. I think maybe all of us can participate in this prayer. We'll work that out. Okay. So we gather tonight in a spirit of deep gratitude to our friends and neighbors who are our first responders to fires and many dangers. These are our brothers and sisters who without hesitation put their lives on the line at a moment's notice for people who may be complete strangers to them. We can't thank them enough, including the board, for their services of love and compassion for all of us. But we can, in love and gratitude, bless you all. We have this power, all of us do. And so with joy, respect, and every kindness, we are privileged to do so tonight. And especially do we bless this community's untiring friend and advocate, your very self, Matt. And your wife too. And your family. So we ask all of our firefighter friends, whoever is the new guy, Jim, if you would come up, we're going to bless you all. Yes, let's do that. And the board,
Come on, Mark.
you may not have had this before, but here it comes. What a good bunch. Okay. So, for the rest of us, if it's comfortable for you, just raise your hands offering a blessing. You know, you can do it this way, you can do it that way, however that feels good for you. And Sister Irma, Marge, and I offer this blessing prayer.
Good and gracious God, we ask to convey your powerful blessing on these, our friends, our sisters and brothers, who are such a blessing to our community. In every moment, keep them safe from harm.
Fill them with good health. Let them be honored in their service by all those they serve. Surround them with loving friends and family. Give them not only courageous, but good hearts. When the day is done, give them gentle rest, surrounded by your love.
And especially for you, our brother Matt, Lord, be his guide and mentor as he goes forward into this new chapter of his life. May it be a blessing for him and his family, and may he go forward buoyed by hope, the assurance of your presence in his life, and the deep gratitude and affection of all of us whom he has so ably and generously served. We ask this, giver of all good gifts, in your loving name. Amen. Yes, and for the new guy. And for
Yes. And you do good work. You're a real support.
Thank you.
God bless you. God bless you. Yes.
Oh, we'll try. We won't go backward. God bless you.
Thank you. Well, I can't say thank you enough. From day one, there's always been a lot of gratitude from this community towards me, and I've said all along, I really feel that I was just doing my job. There's a really bad thing out there, and it's harming our community. I felt it was my responsibility to step up and speak on behalf of that we needed that to go away. There's been a lot of goals that have been accomplished over the years. I think the biggest one is we finally have a record of decision. I'm proud about that. I'm proud to be a part of that. But I can honestly say to the folks that are in this room, if it weren't for the support from the fire district, it was not Matt LaVanchy. It was Bill Esterline, Bob Biondo, Bob Suter, who gave me the latitude to be at these meetings, to, in quite all honesty, to push off some of my other responsibilities, to take this thing on full steam. And, you know, from day one, the fire district, not Matt LaVanchy, has been behind you and supported every step of the way. I just happen to be in that position, which I'm grateful for. I love this community. I love my brothers and sisters at the fire district. So to stand up here tonight was very difficult for me to say goodbye. But I believe in a higher power, and I believe I've been called to assist other folks out on the West Coast as they deal with the wildfires and the devastation that they've suffered for the last 10 years. It's only going to get worse, I hate to say. And I was able to do that through a good friend of mine, who is actually a consultant for the state of Missouri, that was hired as a landfill fire expert to come in and advise the state on the status of the landfill. And I can tell you tonight, I know nobody else in this room knows this yet, but you will. Todd Bellhammer is that guy. He's the landfill fire expert. When the HBO movie came out, I'm sure everybody in this room saw that. All the facts that Rebecca Camisa had up on that screen was provided from Todd. And I can say that now because there's no more client privilege relationship between Todd and the state of Missouri because that contract has ended. But all the information that was presented through that HBO documentary came from Todd. The facts, where the fire was located, when they showed you the map and showed how the fire spread, that was all Todd Bellhammer that insisted in providing that information. And he taught me unbelievably, which I realized right away I had to pick up really quick because I was stupid when it came to landfill fires. I didn't have a lot of knowledge, and I know how fire behaves and how it's supposed to work when it's burning a physical thing, but when it's underground, it's a whole different ballgame. The toxins that are released from that fire are very different from the toxins that are released in a structure fire. So Todd was a mentor to me. He introduced me to some of the work out in California. I'm grateful for that, and it kind of just took off from there to where right now I have 7 employees already in California working to help the 25,000 people who lost everything that they had in their life. Their homes, their memories, the pictures, the trophies, everything that they had is basically gone. And we're there to give them hope that they can rebuild. So my group will be overseeing that process of cleaning the property, very similar to the landfill, making sure that their property is safe to rebuild or do whatever they need to. The good news is, and what you don't know, is I got an email today from Todd, and it's funny how the Lord works. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a devout Christian, My wife and I have made sure that our family has been brought up in that area. And the inscription you have on the clock,
No.
and just real quick. I have one tattoo on my body, on my shoulder, and it is that passage. So, for me, the Lord is speaking to me, telling me I'm making the right decision. So, thank you to the community. I love this community, like I said. I'll always be there. Jim and I have a relationship that he can call me anytime. So if something comes up with this landfill, I want to know about it. Because I'm going to tell you, my office is going to be right across the hall from Todd. So more than likely, if something happens, he and I are going to be on the same flight to come back and fix it.
Right.
So it's not like I'm checking out and not going to be involved in this any longer. The good news is there's light at the end of the tunnel. With the EPA making the right decision, we've got to get them to come back to work. But there is going to be a removal plan that's put in place that the fire district will be involved with. We've been told from the very beginning that we will have a say in what that management plan is. So this community is in good hands. If I were able to handpick somebody to take my place, it would be Jim Usry. But again, thank you to my fire board, my chief, the chief before him who allowed me to be able to do this. I think it's kind of a rare opportunity that a fire district or a fire department has the relationship that we've been able to build over the last 8 years. You know, a lot of times you just see us out at the polls asking for a tax increase or a bond issue, but not in this case. The Pattonville Fire District has always been behind its community, behind its taxpayers. And I know this is not a political format, but I just want to say that our chairman of our board is up for election in April. And I've never asked this community for anything before. But I'm asking you tonight, because of the relationship that we have, if you would please vote for Bill Esterline on April 2nd. He's the one that has provided my ability to be here. Never questioned it. In fact, you all remember this. Republic Services came to the fire district and asked them to remove me as the liaison because I was not a benefit to the progressive talks. There were a lot of shenanigans. I'd say something else, but the sisters are here. But the first person out of the gate was Bill Esterline. And he said, we will not replace Matt LaVanchy with anyone else because he has this community's best interest at stake and at heart.
You guys don't understand how scary that was either. I know when Kara talks about behind the scenes,
Yep.
Republic really pulled some disgusting politics and tried to have Matt removed. And that, we wouldn't be where we are today had that have been allowed to happen.
Yep. So I'm asking you for a favor. Anybody that lives in the Pattonville Fire District, please vote for Bill Esterline on April 2nd to ensure, because I'm going to just put it out there, the person that's running against him is talking about lowering taxes, things like that. It's all the political mumbo jumbo that you always hear. If he lowers your taxes, we're not going to be able to have the influence and the ability to attend these meetings because my job was the chief medical officer, the assistant chief of Pattonville Fire District, and it became the landfill guy. Other people had to pick that slack up. And for somebody to come out and say that I can do it better, but yet institute new programs, different programs, is some of the cost of more than $1 million, but I'm going to lower your taxes. You go figure out where that shortcoming is going to come from. So I'm asking you for a favor. Other than that, thank you to the community. I know you've always been behind me, as the fire district has always been behind you, and that will not stop. As long as we have the people in the positions that they're in, we'll guarantee that Pattonville Fire District will be behind this community. So thank you.
tonight's meeting is gonna be, we get what we need. For whatever reason, you know, Karen and I were supposed to be in DC right about now.
Hold on.
Stop. Uh-oh.
The thing I didn't say, the good news. I got the email today from Todd Dalhammer.
Okay.
The state of Missouri has asked him to sign a new contract, and he is going to be the consultant to keep advising moving forward. So that is very good news, because as of the settlement agreement, Todd's contract ended. So I actually saw the copies today for Todd Dalhammer and Tim Stark, who's the collapse expert, the guy that says this is what's going to happen if the fire continues to burn. Both of them were offered a contract for the state of Missouri. So I think the NDNR, heard the message from the last meeting at DHSS that they are not up to par with what's happening.
Yes.
So
Gosh, that's good
answered
news.
prayers that
Yes.
the two people that know landfills more than anybody else in the world are going to still be involved with this. So.
Okay, so yeah, that's going to definitely be the theme then. We get what we need. And I don't know why that is, but with this landfill, we just continue to, mountains get put in front of us, and then we freak out about it, and then we do what we do as a community, and we get together and push, and we don't move but one, we move two or three at the same time. That's just what happens, and it's kind of how I feel today. It's interesting that Matt says that the fire experts are back on board. How many of you attended that ridiculous meeting we just had that the health department hosted? Well, I heard that. I second whoever did the gagging sound. So that meeting, it seemed like a disaster, right? Because I think it remained respectful, by the way. I think it was one of the most respectful public meetings we've ever had, but I think people came prepared. Donna had her stuff together, and we really made the case for DHSS about why, although in their report they acknowledge we were harmed, and they say it's better now, I think we showed them we're still concerned about the potential for more harm at this site, and we should be. And the reason is, just to recap that DHSS meeting, and I think we have a slide, right, Deb? Maybe not. We don't really need one. Tomorrow is the deadline for the public comment for that meeting. And so if you're writing comments, and we need you to, your comments need to be this. Thanks for the study. Wish you would have looked at more stuff coming out of it. Wish you wouldn't have taken the averages. And what are you going to do when the site collapses and the infrastructure that was put in place that you said made things better fails again? Because that's what we're looking at. This site is rapidly collapsing. And the problem that we face, and it's interesting because Matt, we talked about this back in 2013. I think all along everybody's fear was right what you see happening right now. And it's not so much where the fire is moving in the South Quarry, because it's pretty much moving all over. It's engulfed. It's what happens when the ground collapses and the fire daylights. Will the ground collapse next to the neck area, and will the neck collapse and lead to the rat ice being hit by the fire? So as a community, there's light at the end of the tunnel, but we've really got to stay the course. We need more air monitors. We don't have any air monitors now at the site. We have one at the south and one on top of the radways, but those are EPAs. We need real-time air monitoring to tell us what's happening, where those exceedances are. So hopefully with Todd back, we've got 2 new state reps here that I know are probably going to be chomping at the bit to go and talk to the fire expert. Now that there's not litigation, you guys should have.
She had Chris in her office today.
Yeah. You want to talk about that? You don't have to.
I can tell you that I was informed today that there were no exceedances, that they used the wrong, what I would call a quality indicator, the wrong standard when they did the report.
What?
That's what I was told.
By Chris or by someone from DHSS?
I'm sorry?
By Chris or by someone from DHSS?
No, and Chris didn't say it, and I apologize.
Jeff, I can't think of his last name. The new guy that took over.
Jeff Wetzel?
No.
No, I can't, I apologize.
DHSS or
With
MDNR?
With DNR.
The good news is, I have been placed on the Conservation and Natural Resources Committee at the state level.
So she holds the key to their purse strings, just so you know. She's the one that gets to use the zipper and open and close the wallet.
So just a little information, you know, they're interested in their air monitor. The air monitor is what makes DNR money. That's how DNR gets a lot of their money.
And their permits.
And so their air permit, they're counting on the air permit to fund some other projects for DNR. Something to keep in mind when you see air permits, mining permits, all of those kind of permits that deal with the land as a terra firma, then DNR makes the money from those permits.
So
That will give you a connection that you might not have had at one pit before this.
interesting. Because we do have an air permit meeting coming up with DNR. We have a lot of questions, and what she just said with the no exceedances, I know Harvey perked up. That, I'm not sure how that was missed and how a report could have been written, stamped by the CDC and ATSDR. So I'm gonna question that one.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gathering lists of questions,
Okay,
and what I'm gonna do is I'll share my questions, and then you all can add your questions, so that and I'm asking all of their responses to be in writing, so that I can post them.
yes. So I'm wondering, are they saying that they've used the wrong monitors?
They used the wrong standard. So the measurement piece, where whatever standard they were trying
Like
to.
chronic,
Yeah,
acute?
they didn't use the right one.
You're saying like instead of ATSDR, they should have used OSHA or EPA's or?
Instead of 1 minute, it's 10 minutes or vice versa. You have to understand, I was in a small room with two guys
That's
I didn't know were coming, and we were there for 45 minutes, and it was pleasant enough. Lots of questions, but I did say to them that I would ask that all of their responses to be in writing. so
I
that
think
can
that
share.
that's important. I think from this point forward, and we do this a lot too, we have conversations with people behind the scenes from DNR. We have had that too. But I know that Karen and I, we have started, and I would suggest anybody that calls, get it in writing. Get it in writing and leave a paper trail, because we're looking back at old emails that we have from 2013, 2014, 15. We're going through all our stuff too. It's time to kind of put the paper trail together. I don't know what to say about that, except for we'll see what their excuse is, and I know Doug's chomping at the bit, ready to go, and I know Paula is too. So we look forward to hearing back from what the heck's going on with that. Because we just had a public meeting. So I guess they're gonna host another one, saying whoops. I don't know.
So, I didn't get the feeling that that was gonna happen.
Okay,
No.
so,
But I am gonna reach out to DHSS, tell them what I was told, see if they have a comment, and then I'll be asking for their responses in writing as well.
and I guess you're gonna do the same, Harvey, right? You're gonna get your contacts, and we're gonna get ours, and we're all gonna touch base and.
Okay.
I have a suspicion that that DNR wanted them to use acute versus intermittent. Well,
That's what I'm
that's what
thinking
it sounds
too.
like.
If that's all it is, that's not that. It's a matter of education for DNR.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, they need to be educated.
Okay, so
We new
moving,
people.
Shocker.
Yeah, really shocker.
well, I'm glad that just happened, you guys got to just witness that. That literally happens, I can't tell you how many times a week in this situation. It's nonstop. Deb, next slide. Okay. This is for Champ. So let's talk Champ Landfill for a minute. Karen and I are getting to know our neighbors. We're getting to know Champ a little bit. They stink. There's an odor coming from Champ, and there's an odor coming from Bridgeton, and there's an odor coming from MSD. And so it's really hard to tell the difference between them, but if you've lived in this community long enough, you know one causes severe eye burning and whatnot, and the other just stinks. So there is a public meeting that CHAMP is holding. They want to expand. Now here's our understanding. They don't want to expand externally, they want to expand internally. CHAMP has an area within their landfill that is kind of like Westlake was. Not radioactive waste, but it was before things were regulated. And they suspect that that is the naughty area that's causing issues with smell. That area is not lined. And so they are hoping, this is what they told Karen and I, they are hoping by expanding internally, they can expand next to that area and pull some of the gas that area is creating and destroy it and help with odors. We are working with them, we are trying to get a 24-hour number to call just on their smell. Because frankly, this DNR number, that's something that I think the reps can help with too. This DNR phone number and the way that this odor's reported, this is just, no, it's not working for this community. So we know when it's CHAMP, we need that number, we're working on it.
CHAMP
When
has
was that meeting, Dawn?
The 22nd.
6:30 on the 22nd of January. It's at Maryland Heights Community Center.
DNR is going to be, now, I know, DNR is going to be hosting this meeting and doing the talking. But CHAMP will be there, and if you ask specific landfill questions, CHAMP will be able to come up and answer.
And it's our understanding they have their own independent air monitoring going on. So we're trying to figure out a way to report odors either to the independent company or to somebody at CHAMP, other than having to go through, first of all, Bridgeton, and then second, St. Louis County or whoever just happens to get the call. So.
Well, my problem with that is they heat the high school.
They no longer heat the high school.
They said they do not, but we have a lot of questions about that, and I would really encourage somebody to show up and ask questions about that
And the
at this
second
meeting.
thing is, you don't smell that landfill, you smell the asphalt company more than you smell that
We do have that odor as well. The asphalt company it's a problem in itself. But CHAMP does know that, they were bought out by Waste Connections 2 years ago. So Waste Connections is now their owner. Dawn and I met with the regional engineer from Waste Connections. They are aware they have an odor. They are aware that they're being blamed for some odors that aren't theirs. And as far as the high school goes, we were told that the high school has not been heated by the landfill for 2 years.
That is a total lie.
I would show, and that's why.
My daughter went there last year and it was heated by the landfill.
See, and that's the thing. This is why we need people to go to this meeting. You know how it is. This is a brand new relationship. We're hoping they're not Republic. They're decent people. But we're trying to get some answers, and it always works best as a community if we can show up as a group and ask them and see what they say. And I think that's what we need to do for this CHAMP thing, because while we're still fighting Republic and Bridgeton net fire, we know a lot more now than we did, unfortunately, and we have to make sure that everything is being done the way it should be at CHAMP, so we don't face this
Right, the
issue.
first question you should ask them, if they're aware that the fire that was started in Bridgeton landfill was caused by trying to capture gas in an adjacent property.
We talked about that at that meeting.
We did, but I forgot that it was over and they moved it.
One more question.
Yes,
You said CHAMP is owned by who?
Waste Connections.
Because every time I looked up CHAMP, it sent me back to Republic Services, that it was owned by Republic.
No.
There's-
No, it's owned by Waste Connections.
But again, it's a question to ask when you're there too,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, another interesting reason to show up is Missouri Geological Survey is going to be there. They've never addressed this group, and I'm curious now if the groundwater is being shared between those two landfills, and that's going to be a big issue as we
Bingo,
move down the road.
bingo.
Did you guys all hear that?
No.
Harvey said that USGS is going to be there.
Missouri Geological.
Oh, Missouri Geological is going to be there, and we've never been in front of that group to ask questions, and he's concerned about the groundwater between both Bridgeton and the CHAMP landfill.
The groundwater at Westlake Landfill and Bridgeton Landfill and the groundwater at Champ theoretically are all connected, right? You guys know that. You know that from North County, Coldwater Creek and all that. I mean, what happens under the ground, we've got a karst system here, we've got caves, underground springs. What you see on the surface is like the tip of the iceberg. So the concern is, do this landfill, Westlake and Bridgeton, and do Champ share the same aquifer and whatnot? And the answer probably is yes, but that's a really good question to ask. So we don't know much about Champ. Let me just say this. We don't know. We know enough about what happened to Bridgeton that tells us that we need to figure out, we need to know more. We have a lot of questions about Champ, a lot of stuff that's in the air. So, yeah, we could use your help on this one. This one is going to be preventative and being proactive. So,
Do you guys want us to create another Facebook for Champ Landfill?
yeah.
Yes, yes?
Okay, Curtis says yes. We've told, I mean, we need a new.
We've gone back and forth over it, and it's not like we need anything else to do. Right, but we do think it's important that people get the information.
Like you said, Coldwater Creek runs everywhere. I mean, it's right behind my neighborhood, I live there.
Yep. And so that's our thought. Okay, we'll work on that. Next.
That was basically it.
Okay, that's it.
Questions,
Answers, questions, comments.
statements, comments? Before we go, before we go to that, hold on one second, Alex. We're sad to see Matt go, but we're loving Jim. I just want to say that right now. We're comfortable, happy that, you know, things are going to stay on cue, things are going to move forward. Jim has his relationship with Matt still. That's good news for this community.
And I will say one thing about the Pattonville board, because we don't get political either, and we're not right now, but I will tell you this. In this situation, a lot of times, we end up approaching people, and we make allies, we make friends. We approach the school district, we approach, you know, all these different things, and we talk, and we build a relationship, and then they become our ally. We never had to do that with you guys. You guys were just always there. There was no approaching you, there was no asking you for anything, because you were already right there with it. And I think that's unique. And I will tell you, Matt is right. We get, thanks to Atomic Homefront, we get people from all over the country. And they cannot believe the relationship that we have with our fire department. They can't believe it. They ask, how did you do that? Well, you have to approach, well, how do you do that? Do I just look them up online? I mean, this is a unique situation and a very unique relationship that we were absolutely blessed
And it's
with.
not only watched here, it's watched across the different countries.
It is, but it's helping, in all honesty, it is helping other communities grow close with their local first responders. It's actually, oh my gosh, I have a fire board. Oh my gosh, I have a chief, you know, they're starting to learn this and build this relationship to help with all the issues in their community. So, you know, for that we're grateful for. And I'm not worried about it. Of the things that we're losing sleep over when it comes to this site, and there's a lot of them, this isn't one of them right now. Specifically not today with Jim here. Now that Jim's in place and everything's seamless, yeah. And you just heard from Matt, just almost a miracle what happened with him and Todd and that whole thing. I'll tell you, if you would have told me, and I know some of the people that have been involved in this in a long time, if you'd have told any of us that they would rehire Todd Valhammer and that they would re-engage the fire expert after the settlement, I'd have told you not a chance. So that is nothing short of a miracle, and I do have to say, I think that is because you guys showed up at the last meeting with force, asked the right questions, and put DNR and put these agencies in check. And you asked the right questions, and I think they knew they didn't have the answers, and they knew they had to hire somebody that would.
Alex?
Two-part question. What are you seeing that's making the concern about the landfill collapsing, and then is there any preventative measures that anyone can take?
so they're putting dirt on top of it. But the landfill, if you go by it, that thing changes every week. It is insane how quickly it's collapsing in the south. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? How the fire's burning and it's creating little ash, not little, big ash voids, and then it's pancaking down. You'll see a lot of dirt on top of it. They're trying to fill it in. I don't know. We're in settlement. The fear, look, I think that, here we go, I'm gonna ask Matt or Jim. I think that it is likely that we could see some more surface fires with this settlement. I think that the way the ground is collapsing and what it's doing to the infrastructure could make that more likely, okay?
I think you probably heard that from me.
Okay, and I heard that from Matt. So
Matt agrees.
So Matt agrees. So that is something to watch out for. If you ever see a flame on this side, even if you're not sure, please, if you see something, call. Just report it, because better be safe than sorry. It's going to take a lot of people, because I think, did they ever call 911? No, they called this last time. They just didn't call you guys first, right? But we've had several fires where they haven't. And so it's been citizens that have kind of caught the issue for the first time. The second part of your question, so it's going to collapse. It's going to continue doing that, because that's just what, it's still burning. It's eating up the fuel. What we're concerned about, though, is it collapsing in the neck area. That's where all the interceptor wells are that are holding the fire back. If that area collapses and those go, what is there stopping the fire from hitting the waste? And we're all just going to have to wait and see. That's why it's a really good thing Todd's been brought back on.
Questions? Comments? Come on, say something.
They just want cake.
I know. You all smelled that cake when you walked in. Yes?
I have a follow-up question about the collapse. Putting dirt on top, is that just made so that it looks normal so no one freaks out, or does that actually benefit in preventing the collapse from happening?
Your last night.
So there's pros and cons to that, to what they do. So one of the problems we have with adding dirt to the hill is basically it covers the EVOH cover. So if there is if it tears, or if there's decomposition in that due to the heat or whatever, we're not going to be able to see it. The positive thing to it is that it keeps the infrastructure that's in place there and supported. So as these wells are 100 and 180 feet deep, as the land, as the ground there starts to sink, the wells start to protrude through the top. One of the issues that they're going to have to deal with in the very near future is the reinforced concrete pipe that's in there from the old quarry, from when they first started filling it up. Technology back then was the way that they exhausted the gas out of there was they put in basically like storm sewer pipe. And if you ever seen a storm sewer, 36 inches, in some cases 10 feet in diameter, they stack that up instead of through the ground, how you normally see a storm sewer. So they stacked that up, and the thought was that the gas would migrate into that and they could pull the gas out of there. Well, before they put the EVOH cover on, they had these reinforced concrete pipes in the landfill, and they knew that as this thing progressed, settlement was going to start to occur. Well, the reinforced concrete pipe isn't going to burn, so all of a sudden we're going to have something that kind of looks like a Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus, because these pipes are still going to be sitting there, and the ground underneath it is going to fall below that. So yeah, is it good to put dirt on it? For the benefit of the infrastructure, and we really need that infrastructure to be able to pull the gas, the leachate, and everything out of there, because if you don't have that infrastructure, you saw what happened with the fire. And Dawn was out there, and the reports were that the odor, we were there, the reports were that the odor was just horrible. You could smell the landfill, the raw landfill gas. So in order to burn that off through the flare system, you have to have that infrastructure in place.
Paula's got a question.
Matt, the cover,
better just stay on.
you said there could be some deterioration of the cover. What is the typical lifetime of those?
I don't know. The EVOH cover is a new concept. I don't believe there's any other landfills in the country. There may be now, but when they first installed that, it was the first time that they tried to cover up an odor with a man-made product. typically what they do is they put dirt on it. And they tried that at the landfill, but their fire was progressing at such a rate back, and you guys all remember this, back in 2012, when we first learned about it in 2011, especially 2013, that fire was moving at a rate of about 3 meters per month. So, that's, for an underground fire, that's a pretty fast progression. And fortunately, and I have to say, one of the good things about this is that the temperatures in the neck area indicate that that fire has stalled in that area. Now, it's not getting any less, the temperatures are not going down. And like you've always heard me say at this meeting, the great day for this community is when those temperatures start to go down, because it means it's running out of fuel. But for 2.5 years, that temperature has been at the neck. There's been no indication that the fire is progressing any further to the north. And the way we check that is we check the wells around that area. So as long as the temperatures are steady at the wells to the north of the neck, we're still in good shape. And we do have, every once in a while, we'll see a well elevates a little bit, but fortunately, those temperatures go back down. So it kind of does a wave pattern throughout the seasons. I think the weather here in St. Louis dictates a lot of that. So when the barometric pressure is low and it's pushing down, it's pushing the ground to the point, it's kind of like squeezing on something, like a wet sponge. It forces that stuff out of there. When the barometric pressure is high, then everything is good. When we have the odors that you hear about, typically when there's cloud cover, the barometric pressure is low, and it's just kind of squeezing the muffin that's up there.
Tomorrow night.
So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Typically, dirt is what's used to cover up and fill those voids, but in this case, they decided to use EVOH, and the reason is because the odors were so bad, and the landfill knew that they were in violation of the state's nuisance odor laws. So that was one of the remedies, was in order to capture, because there's an underground fire, so it's pushing out. It's making those emissions go every which direction. So when they covered it, they captured all the bad stuff under the EVOH, and they exhausted it through their well system.
Anybody else?
One more.
Yes, Kirby?
What about the semi-truck that's supposedly buried underground? Has anybody ever researched that after the man came forward?
We haven't heard anything else about it.
EPA,
I mean, are they planning on taking that out when they remove the radioactive waste? Sorry, Matt.
It's not in the South Quarry. I spoke with that gentleman, met with him after that meeting that night. Where he was claiming that the truck was buried is not anywhere near the Westlake landfill, which has the radioactive material. It's not in the North Quarry, and it's not in the South Quarry. It's actually over in a different area where it's construction and demolition debris that was buried there. So I don't think MDNR has any intention of stepping, I can tell you they're not going to, because it's hard enough to get them to step inside the boundary, they're not going to go outside the boundary.
But we still don't know what's going on with it.
At this point, it's one gentleman's word, and I know that it's hard to swallow. It's probably more believable than some of the other stuff, because documents have been proven wrong. So, but there's no documentation that anything like that ever came into the landfill. So yeah, and who's to say what was even in it? And the gentleman didn't know where it came from. He just knew in the rough area where it was buried, and he pointed it out to me on a map. To my knowledge, nothing has ever been tested in that area.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay. One thing before we go, I don't think the sisters are doing the prayer vigils right now.
Right.
So that's been put on hold.
Yes.
We have to do some reevaluating on our goals. We've met 2 of our goals. The other one is still the relocation and getting our friends safe in Spanish Village and that area. And the other thing that I wanted to mention if you could at all possibly, there is a donation basket out there for Just Moms STL. Dawn and I are going to also start taking on fundraising to start funding Just Moms STL. We've gone over 6 years now without having to do that. We're pretty much depleted, so we're going to start doing some heavy-duty fundraising so that we can sustain what we do and be able to still get the information out to you guys and still build and, you know, keep this community as safe as possible and keep this community united. You know, you look around this room right now and we have our entire Pattonville Fire Board here. You know, we have our state reps here. We have Stanger's office here. We have community members here.
Mark and Tracy.
Oh, we have Mark. We didn't even see you guys.
Stand up for a minute.
Stand up. Mark Dietrich and Tracy Panis, they're with the emergency management team. And Dawn and I do a lot of coordinating and talking with them. So they are also here. And we just keep continuing to build and uniting this community so that we can be a strong army to face whatever comes our way. And I think with all you guys, your help and your support, we have been successful in that, and we're just going to take and step it up even further. So our next meeting will be what, Debbie?
Oh, I'll get that to you in just a second.
February,
It's not Valentine's Day, is it?
I don't think it is.
15th? Third Thursday.
Third Thursday. My phone's running, so sorry.
February 21st, we will meet back here.
Yep.
But in the meantime, be looking out for a DNR meeting coming up for the air permit. Be looking out for a new Facebook page. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but it will be about Champ Landfill. Hopefully, we will see all of you at the Champ Landfill meeting on the 22nd. That's it. Thank you. Don't forget the cake. Megan, can you cut the cake?
Yeah, I'm gonna wash my hands and then I'll be there.
Okay.
Am I calling you? Yeah. Go answer.